This morning in the Sunday Spotlight, keeping Pima County safe as a budget battle looms. Sheriff Chris Nanos and the Pima County Board of Supervisors going back and forth over budget numbers, which impacts everything from staffing to morale. It comes as calls for service are on the way up. While there are also more deputies on patrol, there are questions about what's next when it comes to staffing and helping the Pima County community. I speak exclusively this morning with the Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos. We start with what deputies are seeing on our streets. About 5,300 more calls for service between January and April of 2022 versus 2023. Meanwhile, Sheriff Nanos tells me there are 30 more deputies who can respond to those calls, and he works to get these numbers up. The sheriff says both he and Tucson's police chief, Chad Kazmar, are running into challenges.
We both struggle because we both are short-staffed and our hiring pool is the same. And so we need to have our compensation packages look very similar as well, or one's going to get beat up every time. And that's not our goal. We want the best, and he wants the best, and we want to train the best. All of those things are important, but we think it exists out there. You just have to figure out how to recruit and pay is a lot of it, right? We know that. But more importantly than that is how we treat our team. If I'm your boss and I'm just mean and nasty and just don't care, why would you want to work for me? And it does start here at the top. I set the tone. I set that example. If my leadership team, my chiefs and my captains and my lieutenants and sergeants look at me and say, well, why should I be any different? That's not good. I want them to look at me and say, that's the boss I want to be like. And I have to set that example.
Want to talk about getting more deputies and figuring out what's next year. You know, you're $3 million over budget or so, somewhere around that number. You heard Supervisor Grijalva say at the meeting the other day, quote, to go over by not a couple 100,000, but 3.3 million. That's significant. That is just basically saying we have a budget. I don't know if I'm going to abide by it or not, end quote. What's your response?
So we are currently drafting a response to the board to answer their questions. They have every right to ask these questions. We report to them every month, every single month, every penny that goes through this department. I was a little taken back by the insinuation that I was just flippant with this budget and didn't care, and that is the furthest from the truth. I am involved in this budget every single day. In fact, my team probably hates it that I'm in the weeds so much, but I need to be. I really do. It is a big job, and it's important that we do things right. So I do get in the weeds. I have a team I can trust, and they're much smarter than me. They're much more in tune with what's going on. But I need to be involved as well and engaged in well, particularly if I'm going to be the one that has to make the decisions. As far as being over budgeted, that's why I smile. I heard that. But I'm going to ask a simple question. Am I over budgeted or am I underfunded? Right? That's an age-old adage, right? Basically, what they did is they gave some 1,400, maybe 1,500 employees pay raises, but never funded them. And they took it from the sheriff's budget, which was fine. I can't control that. But then now they're saying, I'm 3.2 million, 3.1 million. Add up for me, please. 500,000, 850,000. And then what did they take from me at the start of the year? 1.4. Is that 3.2? Am I again, back to the question, am I over budget or am I underfunded?
What is it like working with the board? I mean, you guys have to work together. They set the budget, you keep people safe. How important is that relationship?
Very, extremely important. It's extremely important to me because it doesn't do us any good to throw rocks, to make political hay out of pointing fingers backwards. This is a process that Right now we're facing the 24 budget, right? 23-24 budget, July 1. Right now, as we sit here, they're planning to take 2.3 million out. I want to work with this board. I really do. But I'm not going to play politics. I see there's nothing to gain by throwing rocks. I have a job to do, and that's to keep our community safe. They have a job to do, and that's to fund this department so that we can keep this community safe.
So you've talked about the needs in this department, staffing, the jail, and all these things. How do you work with the board to get what you need in the budget that they want? Is there a middle ground here?
I hope so. We work. There's something, and I was surprised that the board was surprised that the sheriff was over his budget, as they say, because every single month we send a report down to the county. Why they don't, and it is line by line. Why they don't know that, I don't know. But one of the freshman board members acknowledged it in that hearing. He said, no, we see this monthly. So I don't know, was that disingenuous? Were they playing politics again? I hope not. What to me is disingenuous is to sit there and tell people that this sheriff is not transparent with his budget, when the reality is they get a report from me every single month. It is very important that I work with this board because they do control the purse strings. I understand that. And we think we've come up with a strategy to hire in deputies because you saw the numbers. They increased quite a bit. I'm going to knock on wood here, but on July 8th, we should have 59 correction officers brand new in our training set, in our facility, off of training.
I want to circle this back to public safety. It's your job to keep people safe. If I live in Pima County or I'm looking at moving to Pima County, what's your message when it comes to safety despite these challenges?
Well, public safety is everybody's part. I believe we have a community that is involved and engaged with the community. You can find no better volunteer groups and in great numbers all across this community that do great things every day for free. That's a plus, to have a community that wants to be involved and engaged with this community, to have a community that also wants to be involved, engaged with their law enforcement. And it's not just me. I have my citizen board. They do a great job. But we know in our hearts that I believe, provide some of the best mentors on the planet right here in Pima County. That my department, there's a reason you don't see what happened in San Antonio. There's a reason you don't see things like George Floyd and others. It's because we train well. It's because we hire well. But it's also because we come from within this community that we respect and know wants to be a part of this community. You don't see Pima County putting billboards in Albuquerque and saying, come join us, we'll pay you $15,000 signing bonus. I don't need that. I want to get you right here where you're invested, where your family's here, you're here, you play here, you live here, you work here. Those are the people we hire.
And Sheriff Nanos will be in front of the board again next week, July 11th. That's when he will respond to those budget concerns. We'll watch it very closely for you. That is it for this week's Sunday Spotlight. Join me again here next week as we take a look at another issue impacting Southern Arizona. 13 News Live this morning. We'll be back after a quick break.